If I had a time machine and could go back in time, I would love to visit this castle by the River Seine. But since I don't, I'll try to make a time machine for you with this video. So let's go back in time to the year 1197 when Chateau Gaillard began construction in the heart of Normandy, France. Hey, welcome back to ES Forgotten, the channel where I, your host, Lord Danny, recover and share the forgotten history of castles and other abandoned places, and vlogs, and other videos, and top 10s, and something that I come up with, I don't know. And today is no exception. Besides this being a well-documented castle and its history is not forgotten at all, I still want to share this masterpiece with the internet. As always, please subscribe and share this video, it helps me tremendously. And a public thank you to you all for the support and love in the last video. I finally found the way I want to present the videos, and it's amazing to see that you guys enjoyed it and share it, so thank you. In this video, I'm gonna tell you the story of the castle and its infamous siege, reveal some curiosities and fun facts, explain a little bit about medieval architecture, and last but not least, show a little bit of the inside of Chateau Gaillard. Enough of this intro, let's just jump into the time machine. In 1190, France was a territory mainly divided into two kingdoms, the French and the English. Richard the Lionheart, as he was called, was the King of England and Duke of Normandy. He ruled over all of England since 1189 and a big part of France. On the other side, we had Philippe Auguste, King of France for over 10 years, having only a small part of the country at the time. He was responsible for conquering French territory from the English, and spoiler alert, this story ends in his favor. Many years of combat stopped in January of 1196, when the Pope made them sign a peace agreement, the Treaty of Gaillon. But both of them were not having it, especially Richard, because Philip gained territory with this treaty. During this peaceful time, he decided to build a castle that would make history forever, Chateau Gaillard. I'm not gonna go too deep on specific details about the castle and its siege, but I've read these two books and they are like chef's kiss for it. And by the way, a shout out to my patrons that helped me purchase these beautiful books and that keep this channel running. Thank you, truly. There's an amazing documentary about Gaillard as well, and I'll leave both the books and the documentary in the description, and there you can find all the history in detail as well as all the castle technicalities and functions. I'm also gonna use some clips to help you understand and follow the history better. Richard was an incredibly smart and knowledgeable king. His vision was of enormous dimensions. Thus, he handpicked the perfect location for his impregnable fortress, Les Andelys. The limestone mountain above Les Andelys was the perfect promontory for its construction. I'm gonna use fancy words for this video. And promontory means, oh, I forgot the dictionary. I got it. But promontory means a high point of land that juts out into the sea or large lake. And it's true. With the River Seine and large cliffs surrounding one side of the castle, the only way to attack was the plateau on the southeast side. He knew that before building a castle, he had to protect the surrounding areas. So he ordered the erection of a stockade, 3 rows of wooden posts joined together by heavy chain to stop ships coming down the river. In the big island, Richard built his residence, a small castle, connected by 2 bridges, one on each side. He also fortified Les Andelys and built 2 other small fortifications, Tueny and Bernier. After these constructions, Chateau Gaillard, previously called Château de la Roque, was ready to start its construction. The word Gaillard means strong, powerful, tough, hard, but also cheerful and exuberant. Fun fact, it's said that Richard didn't speak or learn English. He was born in Aquitaine, a southeast region in France, and most of his life he spent in France, so I get it. Okay, that's enough. Let's go back to the castle. This was a project of incredibly high costs, especially because Richard wanted to create a castle at lightning speed. For that, a giant amount of human force was needed, bringing to the site engineers, stonemasons, carpenters, smiths, and thousands of craftsmen and laborers. It's assumed that around 6,000 people worked on the construction, which was finished in a record time of only 2 years. This time, 2 years, is astonishing because the normal time for a construction of a castle of this size would be 20 to 30 years. To help with these constructions, the man had medieval scroll cages, sort of a medieval crane, and also an ingenious scaffolding system for transporting and constructing the ramparts. All the stones were pushed by hand. The men worked day and night, and it's said that they worked themselves almost to death. By the way, ramparts, another complicated word, means a defensive wall of a castle or walled city having a broad top with a walkway. Now, let's look into the castle just to explain some important parts of its structure. Disclaimer, there's many different names that you can explain this castle. I'm gonna go with the names that they use in this book and on the documentary, so yeah. Gaillard was separated into 3 main parts. The first being the bastion. The almost triangular shape was the first fortification that the attackers would face. It had 5 towers, one of them being the Master Tower, the tallest and biggest. The tower on the east side was the entrance to the castle, serving as a gatehouse with a drawbridge. This fortification was surrounded by a 12-meter moat. Let me bring the dictionary again. Moat is a deep and wide trench around the ramparts of a fortified place, such as a castle, that is usually filled with water. This one didn't have water surrounding the castle. To stop a rapid advance onto the main fortification, a bridge connected to a drawbridge and a gatehouse were the only entrance. He designed them to have different alignments, kind of in an S shape, to not give straightforward access. The main fortification and the lower courtyard housed the stables, storage rooms, vegetable gardens, and many more. The upper courtyard, or the inner ward, had 19 round walls, which was a new innovation at the time, making it extremely hard for projectiles to harm it. Fun fact, the castle was built so fast that the walls collapsed slightly on themselves. Nothing fell, but this just shows how quickly they were working. These walls had an external moat surrounding them in the lower courtyard, and to enter the upper courtyard you had to cross a fixed bridge. The grounds inside were 2 meters higher, so to access this part they had to go up a flight of stairs. Inside it housed various domestic buildings, the house of the commander, and at its center the keep. Around 20 meters in height, this was the last rampart against invaders. The keep was precisely designed, and I'm just gonna say the most important feature, otherwise I will be talking here for hours. Richard, believed to be the main architect, decided to replace the normally used wooden galleries with stone machicolations, and here the first machicolations in Europe were built. Okay, dictionary again. Machicolation is an opening between the supporting corbels of a projecting parapet or the vault of a gate, through which stones or burning objects could be dropped on the attackers. Basically a hole in the ramparts where you could throw down some shit. These 3 areas had wells 120 meters deep so they could reach the water. This was an incredibly difficult task since they had to dig through limestone to do it. All the ramparts of the towers and walls had removable wooden hoards. These hoardings were temporary wooden constructions that during a siege enable a better defense and improve the field of fire from crossbowmen and archers to attack in every direction, even under the hordes. Basically, these constructions had slits and holes in them to make it easy to throw various projectiles against the enemy. With a 200-meter long extension and 90 meters above the Seine River, the castle stood as a symbol of Richard's power. The castle begged to be challenged and tested. Meanwhile, Philippe Auguste was able to see the fortress rise on the hill from his castle in Gaillon, 10 kilometers away. In 1197, the construction started, and after 2 hard-working years, in 1199, Chateau Gaillard was ready. Richard is quote calling it his 2-year-old daughter, but sadly he didn't live to see Gaillard in his full glory. In March 1199, Richard the Lionheart was in Limousin. He besieged the tiny castle of Chateau-Gaillard, and some claim he was an unarmed small little castle for his standards, so he was walking around with little to no armor, and that's when he got hit on the shoulder by a crossbow bolt. He died days after, on April 6, 1199, leaving the throne of England to his brother, John Lackland. It's said that John was very unpopular, behaved badly, and inherited no lands, therefore the name Lackland. He took possession of Gaillard and, being a man of faith, ordered the construction of a chapel in the lower courtyard. This chapel is going to come into play later on in the story. Philippe Auguste took advantage of the change of kings and for 3 years conquered the fortifications around Gaillard so the castle would have no backup. Only then, Philippe invaded Les Andelys in 1202. The villagers sought refuge in the castle, and if everything went according to Richard's plan, Chateau Gaillard could be self-sufficient enough to last 2 years in a siege. By August 1203, Philippe Auguste and his army set up camp all around the fortress, creating a huge siege. The goal was to weaken and starve the people inside the castle. Meanwhile, they started building movable wooden towers called belfries.
A belfry was a veritable rolling fortress. At the top was a shooting platform with 10 archers. The lower stories were to fight off any foot soldiers who dared to attack it.
Once again, I'm not gonna go too much into detail of the siege and what Philippe Auguste did and the whole story. If you're interested, go check out the documentary. Inside the castle, the commander was Roger de Lacy, sent by John Lackland. Roger was popular and admired by both kingdoms. He knew that the siege was going to be long and difficult, especially during the winter months. Here, his first mistake revealed itself. The castle was well supplied for a siege, but with the extra villagers, the food rapidly diminished. Around 2,000 non-combatants were allowed inside. Roger asked for King John's help, and in response, you know what these men said? Thank you for your service and bye, basically. By the way, John Lackland lost all of Normandy to the French, kinda giving scared king vibes. Just saying. At this point, Roger knew that no army would come to help, so he had to act fast and made the decision of casting out some of the villagers. It was the only way he could hold the siege. The 2 first groups passed through the enemy without any harm. When King Philip heard of this, he ordered to not let any villagers through. Weeks later, Roger sent out another group of villagers, but at this time they were attacked and forced back into the castle. But the castle was closed, so they sought refuge on the moat of the castle for 3 months over the winter. There are various tellings of people that were able to hear the screams from within the castle walls. In March 1204, Philip lost his patience and decided to attack. First, through a ditch previously dug, they destroyed the lower part of the master tower and set it on fire. The first fortification was conquered. Now, it seemed impossible to invade the lower courtyard because it didn't have a plateau and it was surrounded by monstrous walls and moats. But he had a weak point that the French discovered very quickly: the large windows of the chapel that John had ordered to construct. The French got in and set fire to all the buildings, lowering the drawbridge for the army to come through. Now, Philip had control of more than half of Chateau Gaillard. Roger and 150 men were closed in on the upper courtyard. The French didn't stop attacking the walls until they gave in, and once they did, the army invaded the last part of the castle. A hand-to-hand combat ensued, but soon Roger and his men surrendered to Philippe Auguste. The siege of Chateau Gaillard was one of the longest sieges in medieval times. It lasted 7 months.
What a construction. Not much of it is left. But it's cool to see. It's cool to see the whole structure of the castle. I love it so much. It's in ruins, but I love it so much just because how important the history and also its structure is amazing. Here we go. Oh my god, it's so massive. I love that they built this trench to be impossible to be taken over. Oh, I almost fall. And look at the view. Wow. Okay, €3 over here. 3.5. That's it. Oh my god. It's so hot, but I love seeing these structures. I don't know why we came here in the middle of the day, should I say. It's like the sun is literally right there. This is so beautiful. Let me show you the inside of the main tower. Look how thick these walls are. It's like I'm gonna measure it by steps. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 meters. Yes, if I do this is a meter. With my feet. No, I'm not even joking. It's literally a meter. But these walls are 4 meters thick. I don't know how is that in inch or foot. I love the structure of it. It looks like it's so imponent, so grand, so I don't know. Feels like it's a true fortress, you know? Wow. I think it was even taller and with towers and stuff, because this feels just nothing. Let me show you the view. Wow. And this river right here, it's the Seine River, the same in Paris. This is a long river throughout France. And it kind of borders a lot of castles because castles normally are built around rivers. It's just a way to protect areas and also easy access to water. And this is one of them. And it's, again, I cannot stress enough how big of a stronghold this looks. It's beautiful. Before the castle existed, they started a village, and it's this village down here. Look, it's just those beautiful French villages. It's incredible. I love it so much. I have this huge book of medieval castles all over Europe, and this castle was one of them. And as soon as I saw it in the book, I said, like, I have to see it. Even though it's just a ruin, it has a lot of story, and it's just imponent. It's a stronghold. I don't know. I just love it, and I'm so happy that I got to see it and got to document it. It's amazing.
This is the book that I'm talking about. It's huge and heavy, and I've had it for many, many years. And can I go on a rant about the book, or Mr. Director?
Maybe next time.
Next time, okay. Next time if I have more time, I'll go on a rant about the book. But this is an incredible book by an incredible photographer. And here I saw the photo of Chateau Gaillard. Also, I have the photo of Castello della Pietra that I filmed a few videos ago. Here is, I love photography books, especially castles. I'm not gonna go on a rant. I just say that I love this, and I see a lot of great photos and a lot of great castles here. And this one on the cover is in Portugal. Maybe one day as well. I'll film it. Its history continued for many more years, being used as a residence, a prison, a castle, and many more. During the 100 Years' War between the English and the French crowns, possession of the castle switched several times. And I could be here all day telling you every time that the castle switched hands from French to English and vice versa, because there were many, but it all came to a definitive end in 1449 when the French took control of the castle for the last time. Chateau Gaillard was uninhabited and in ruins, and in 1599 King Henry IV of France ordered its demolition. For years, villagers were allowed to take all the stones they could to be used in the restoration and upkeep of their monasteries. The demolition stopped in 1611. In 1862, this great fortification was added to the French list of Monuments Historiques. Now, an hour and a half away to the north of Paris, along the River Seine, stand the ruins of what once was an impregnable castle. God damn, this was a hard video to make, Jesus. Okay, this was a long one, especially the story, so I hope you bear with me. And I wish I could give you more detail, but the video would get too long, and for that I would have to make a documentary. Gaillard is open to visit for free, except the upper courtyard, which you have to pay for. I think it's like €3.50 if I'm not mistaken. Making this video was another crazy challenge. Having to read books, watching documentaries, doing a lot of research, all of this to then put it into a small little video, to not make a huge documentary, because believe me, I had so much information and I hope it paid off. So please subscribe and share this video if you enjoyed it. Drop a like as well as your thoughts, opinions and love in the comments, because as always, I'll be there to read and respond. I'm so happy to have done this research and learn more about medieval fortifications, especially this one. And as Richard the Lionheart would have said, que Chateau Gaillard. My French, Jesus. This little Portuguese guy says bye. Today I have a microphone in my hand. It's fun. In a neville. I cannot even start a sentence. Began construction in the heart of Normandy. Philip had control of more than half. Puberty, you didn't hear it? Half! But I cannot talk with the microphone and the book in the hand. It's a bit weird, but will be manageable. I'll do something, okay. The word Gaillard means strong, powerful. Euro Dictionary. Maybe I can translate it into German. Okay, but fuck. Okay. When Chateau Gaillard I shouldn't have a microphone in my hands. When Chateau Gaillard began construction in the heart of Normandy, France. Jesus Christ, it's not that hard. And there you can find all the history in detail, as well as the castle technical.
As well as all. Actually, it's only 3 hours.
Only 3 hours?
Yeah.
Only to make a video that is like 20 minutes long. I should be ashamed of myself. And there you can find all the history in detail, as well as all the castle functions and techniques. Technicalities.